If I could, I'd love to invite you back to your seats this morning. You may have noticed as you walk into the room, the artwork on the walls, they correspond to different sermon series that we have preached here at Grace Sacramento. And this is something that we do. We commission different artists that we have here at Grace Sac. And it's such a wonderful privilege to have that expression of worship, to be able to use creativity and the arts and music and all sorts of wonderful gifts that God has given to us to do that kind of introduction to our sermon series, kind of give us a visual of the sermon series and what those books are about. And again, this morning, as we are in the third installment of a sermon series on the minor prophets that we're calling Divine Intervention, we commissioned one of our artists, and I'm going to invite Laurie Freeman Young on crutches this morning to interview and talk about. Okay, crutch, not crutches, but crutch. Yes, maybe you're going to stand on this side, and we'll go through the art piece, which is right behind us here on the platform, on the pulpit. And so I thought maybe, Laurie, if you can talk about that a little bit. Again, what were some of your thoughts and designs, thoughts about design and theme and concepts as you heard us say we want to preach and title a sermon series, Divine Intervention. And so I thought maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
I didn't know the name of the sermon series to begin with. I knew it was a series on the minor prophets. And Brad emailed me a little synopsis. And what I got out of that was God's sovereignty, His holiness, His justice, and His love. And I really didn't envision anything. I didn't even know what medium I was going to do. I didn't have any themes in mind, and then I started looking through the minor prophets and reading about each of them, and I don't know, I just found little phrases that seemed to apply, and so I made a list of them. And then one Sunday, I just left the list on Brad's chair. He was busy, and I went and sat down. And Mia led us in a song, and I wrote it down. It's by Big Daddy Weave. It's called Redeemed. I am redeemed. You set me free, so I'll shake off these heavy chains. And when I heard that, all of a sudden, I just totally, it was like an aha moment. I just totally pictured, and I sketched it on a little, I sat down in the middle of the song, and I sketched it on a little tiny piece of paper. And after church, Brad came back with my list, and there were checks on some, and then at the bottom, Divine Intervention was circled, and he said, that's the name of the sermon series. And he was explaining how it was kind of a two-way thing that, yeah, God intervenes for us with His Son, but also through all that happens in the minor prophets, it's like God putting on an intervention and telling us what we need to be working on. So that's how I came up with the idea.
Yeah, thank you. So if you look at the art piece, you realize it's not just a painting, it's not just 2D, it's actually 3D. Can you walk us through what medium you use, and maybe even if you can walk us through the art piece here?
Sure. Well, people say I'm an artist, and I can't really draw, and so I do 3D a lot because it doesn't require drawing. Let's see. I like to collage, and so I have a plethora of magazines and stuff that I tear pieces out of. And the first thing I saw was the background. It was the whole cover of a magazine, and it was the ocean. And to me, when I see and hear the ocean, it shows me the awesome power of God. And the ocean demands respect. But when I'm at the ocean, I feel peace. So for me, the ocean represents God. And then I wanted to put rocks down below, and I was trying to think of ways to do it, and I thought of this spray. You get it at the hardware store. It's called Stuff. And it's to like fill holes around pipes and stuff. Anyways, I made a flat thing of it, and it grew and grew, and I had to slice off part of it. And then I cut lines in it so it looked like rocks. And I collaged tissue, painted tissue paper over it, and stuck that on there. And then I went on Google Images, and I found people, and I kind of changed them on the computer a little bit to be in different positions, and I put those on there. And I was thinking that God is the light. So I have taken drawing classes. Perspective drawing, you always have to think about your light source. And so the shadow is on the people, but there's not a shadow on God's hand because he's the source of light. And then I bought chain because that was what I try and be subtle, but I'm really literal. So I bought chain and I painted it so it looked old. And really, on the back of it, I wrote the title Divine Intervention, and I wrote that it was by me through divine intervention, because I felt like this was something that God did. I didn't come up with the idea, but I didn't stress about it. I gave it to God, and I didn't take it back this time. So that's...
Yeah, well, thank you for the art piece. I know, Laurie, you are, to all of us, an artist. You know,
Thank you.
we are not. I am not. But this is beautiful. Thank you for the artwork. You included the Big Daddy Weave song and the chains on the bottom, and how true that is as we hear through the minor prophets how dark it is and how God rescues us and brings light and offers